Good morning. Welcome to the conversation on TOS Television Network, your digital first Pan African news network. And of course, it's the conversation on TOS Television. And as always, we're reaching you from Abuja. That's the capital city of Nigeria. And it's a rainy day here in the capital. And as always, my favorite, kind of weather. I really just love, the chill and everything. Today is Friday. Yes. Today's Friday. The week is finally wrapped up. As you can see, I'm excited for the weekend. My name is Ade Suwausi.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning, Sagir. I like the
You
floral.
are excited. It's the final day
I like
of the week.
floral t-shirt.
Thank you first. Thank you. But it's the last day of the week.
Yes, and it's a rainy day.
Let me hear what.
Yes. It's just pretty exciting, that's all.
I don't know why I'm not at home anyways. If I was at home, perhaps I would have been sleeping by now.
That's the thing. So you're here, you're active, it's morning, it's rain. I feel like everyone should be excited
if at some point you're talking to me and I don't respond, just know that I might have slept off. just so you know. It's a good weather anyway.
Yes, it's a very good weather. Yes, and then a very good day to bring you some Friday, motivation to spur you into the weekend. So we're going to be bringing you a quote of the day right about now. And after that, we'll be looking at stories, developments from across Africa.
There are certain moments in the day when I need my me time to just unwind and indulge.
What is this?
The Cadbury goodness is in every pack of Cadbury 3-in-1 hot chocolate, making you feel cheerful and pleasant. Enjoy the Cadbury goodness.
Okay, so today is taking quite a different turn. So we're going to be looking at, trending stories on the Nigerian scene rather than, going around Africa. So we're starting from this one in Kaduna State. The Nigerian Customs Strike Force Team Zone B in Kaduna State said it has seized smuggled items worth over 234 million naira within the quarter of 2021. This was revealed by the coordinator of the CGC's Strike Force Zone B, Deputy Comptroller Oseni Olorukoba, on Wednesday. He said the strike force team in the state also arrested 2 suspects in connection with some of the seizures within the same period, but they were granted administrative bail.
And 2 stories around the NSCDC. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps have said it would hand over its officers involved in corrupt practices to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, for further action. This was disclosed by the Commandant General NSCDC, Dr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi, who said the NSCDC would stop the high-profile corruption cases before it and allow the ICPC to handle them. The Commandant General also demanded the support of the ICPC on staff training, adding that ICPC has the mandate and technical know-how to perform the task and train NSCDC officers on investigation techniques and intelligence gathering.
That's quite encouraging. Moving over to Enugu State. So the Enugu State Traditional Rulers Council has abolished girl-child marriage and other forms of gender-based harmful practices in the state. This was contained in a communique signed by the chairman of the council, Igwe Lawrence Agbubuzu, and issued at the end of a multi-stakeholder strategic conference, which was organized in partnership with the Ford Foundation, support from Enugu State Ministries of Gender Affairs, Chieftaincy Matters and Justice, and the 50-50 Action Women of the state between the council and the Women Aid Collective. It stated that the council condemned all forms of violence against women and girl-child and was committed to the abolition of the obnoxious practice of sacrificing the girl-child to shrines.
So what do you think about
that? Last line gave me the chills.
Okay, how? Why?
Sacrificing girl-child to the shrines. So, this is 2021. I didn't know that such practices still exist, where you have to say, oh, okay, this girl is a virgin and they have to sacrifice her for one traditional ritual or another. I'm glad that that has been abolished now, but then again, we're also looking at, you know, abolishing child marriage, which I know is even as much as people don't talk about it as much as we used to talk about it anymore. It's still being practiced across Nigeria, both in the east and in the north. And just looking at saying, okay, the government, you know, of Enugu State does not support child marriage. So you cannot bring one 70-year-old man and then say, okay, you can get married to my niece who's 12-year-old because we're owing you money, or to pay back for the lands that we borrowed from you. You know, those kind of things, those kind of practices. Yes, I'm just happy that, you know, that's coming to the fore.
For me, I feel, I mean, it's quite concerning to see that in 2021, you know, we still have cultures where they still sacrifice
human beings. First of all,
about
exactly.
Human beings. As much as I would say the sanctity and maintaining the cultural heritage of a people is important, there are certain aspects of those cultures, traditions, as well as beliefs that need to be fine-tuned.
You just know it's barbaric.
If not changed,
yes,
or even banned completely, because I mean, in today's society, it is in fact it is barbaric. Let's not even say in today's society, it is barbaric. For example, the case we just mentioned, sacrificing to the gods and all of that, or to whatever deity or whatever it is that the ritual is all about. It is wrong. It is a criminal offense.
Yes.
It is a violation of a person's right to live,
yes,
and a lot of other, you know, issues surrounding it. So yes, it's a good news that they have abolished, you know, girl-child marriage.
I just hope it's strictly adhered to, and then there's strict punishments for people who do not adhere to it.
I hope they follow it to the latter
exactly.
as well, you know, to ensure that, I mean, girls' rights are protected in the state and as well as across the country.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, the wife of late President Shehu Shagari, Hadiza Shagari, has died of COVID-19 complications on Thursday, August 12th, 2021. This was revealed in a statement issued on behalf of the family by her grandson, Bello. We regret to announce the demise of our beloved mother, Hajia Hadiza Shehu Shagari, the wife of His Excellency late President Shehu Usman Aliyu Shagari, GCFR, Turakin Sokoto. We lost her in the early hours of today, 12th August, that's yesterday, 2021, at about 3 a.m. after battling COVID-19 at the Gwagwalada Isolation Center in Abuja. Hajia Hadiza Shehu Shagari was 80 years old. Her janaiza funeral prayer will take place. Of course, this is the time slated for her burial. May her soul rest in perfect peace.
Yes, that's quite sad. But she was quite old, and I think that was why maybe the treatment, the complications.
Yeah, I can understand. Also, it also, you know, shows the importance of following all of the guidelines and precautions of COVID-19. The Delta variant is not joking. We can see it from the cases, the rising cases we've had. I mean, just last week, we had close to 10,000, if not over 10,000 cases in just a week. That was the highest figure we've had in months. And all because one person tested positive for the Delta variant of COVID-19 in Nigeria. And of course, we know how the snowballing effect works. Yeah. When one person is infected, one person is tested and seen to have been infected, it doesn't mean it is just that person, because before he was tested,
he had contact.
He has had contact, or she has had contact with other people. So there is a probability that she or he might have infected people around. So that's why it is very important for Nigerians to take heed to the safety regulations and guidelines by the NCDC. COVID-19 is not a joke. COVID-19 is a threat to all of us, and it is a responsibility for all of us to protect each other by following the guidelines. Continuous hand washing, using hand sanitizers, wearing your face mask, and maintaining social distancing, also avoiding social gatherings.
Yeah, so what Sagir said, just follow through. And with that, we'll bring you COVID-19 update from across Africa. And after that, we'll be looking at front pages of Nigerian newspapers this morning.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
My son has always dreamt of being in the spotlight.
As his mother, it is my duty to help him live up to his dream.
That's why I give him Born Vita every day,
Which contains iron, zinc, and vitamin C that supports his immunity and gives him the strength to pursue his dreams. Born Vita, strength to dream.
You're still watching The Conversation on your digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS Television, and you could be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TOS TV Network. You could also watch the conversation via our website as well as read some of our content at www.tostvnetwork.com. And of course, you could check our social media pages as well as our YouTube page at TOS TV Network to watch a recap of the conversation as well as other programs. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It is the newspaper segment of the conversation, and this morning we're going to be looking at headlines of various Nigerian daily newspapers. We'll start with the Business Day newspaper this morning, and we'll start with the banner headline, which states impressive half-year result shows cinemas rebound. Beside that, we see how own power market will transform Africa's biggest city. Underneath that, we see Nigeria's supermarkets record first decline in 5 years, and that could be found on page 4 of the Business Day newspaper. Top insurers post highest profits in 8 years, and that could be found on page 30, and that's it for the Business Day newspaper.
Okay, let's look at the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. The very first headline there says, Shell to run SNEP code despite divestment moves. The banner headline on the Daily Times says, Doctors strike, federal government insists on no work, no pay policy. 3 riders underneath the headline. The first rider says, denies threatening to sack resident doctors, rules out possibility of fresh lockdown despite surge in COVID-19 cases, challenges citizen on third wave of coronavirus. And on news, APC chair, PDP asks courts to remove Buni as Yobe governor. And on business, LASG presents 2 patrol vehicles to FRSC. IBB not individually responsible for Vasta's fate. That's from General Atiko. And the last headline on the Daily Times newspaper says, Niger State Commissioner abducted by bandits regains freedom.
We'll go to the Blueprint newspaper. From the very top, we see COVID-19 forex inflows through CBN depletes 200% in 1 year. TED Fund injects 2.5 trillion naira into tertiary institutions in 10 years, and that could be found on page 14. 123 bandits, 27 terrorists killed, 1,000 surrendered in 2 weeks. Zulum enrolls 5,361 Mungono orphans in schools. And for the banner headline, we see Abdul Salami at IBB Dialogue, why separation will be difficult. Task Nigerians to expose criminal elements, says Babangida demonstrated leadership from childhood. He has a human heart. That's by former Senate President David Mark. IBB not individually responsible for Vasa's execution, and that's by Akilu. Underneath the picture of the day, of course, the picture of the day shows the prayer for the late Hadiza Shagari, the former First Lady of Nigeria. Buhari mourns as ex-President Shagari's widow dies of COVID-19. Lagos reactivates oxygen treatment sites, sample centers. No plans for second lockdown over Delta variant, and that's by the federal government. Quite a couple of other headlines on the Blueprint newspaper this morning. You can simply grab a copy to keep updated.
Okay, the first headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning says Nigeria not high debt risk nation, and that's coming from the DMO. Buhari visits Tinubu in London. Why Nigeria is yet to defeat insurgency? That's General Akilu saying that. The banner headline there says motorists groan over hike in registration, license fees. Lagos confirms increment condemnation in Rivers. Drivers reject increase in Kaduna, Taraba. Kano yet to implement. We're not responsible. That's coming from the FRSC. And then just underneath the picture of the day, Bauchi flood death toll rises to 13. 1,600 houses, 5,000 farmlands destroyed. INEC suspends e-voting machines procurement. Former President Shagari's widow dies at 80, buried in Abuja. And the last headline says, bandits hired from Zamfara to kidnap me, released Niger commissioner. It's the one saying that.
And that's it for the newspaper headlines segment of the conversation this morning. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, we will be bringing you the big story.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat the farm, say it's sabi. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you, don't do pass your power. You want to show yourself, oh.
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel, the smartphone network.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
You're still watching the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS TV. You could be a part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using the details currently shown on your screen. It is the big story segment of the conversation, and this morning's focus is going to be on the surge in COVID-19 cases in Nigeria. Joining us via telephone to discuss this, among other issues, is Dr. Sunday Olatunde. He is a clinical pharmacist. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Yes,
good morning, Sagit. Thank you for having me on the program once again today.
Yes, sir. All right, so, sir, what do you make of the current rise in COVID-19 infections in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you once again for having me on the program today. The increase in the spread of COVID-19 as we have currently in the country is as a result of the new variant of the virus that has found its way into the corners of the society. Do not forget that the original variant of this virus came in the first wave and the second wave.
Yes.
And we started rejoicing that it was going down before the emergence of the Delta variant, which started ravaging the societies in India. It spread to South Africa, and it has covered about 104 countries as we speak. It has found its way into Nigeria. And because this particular variant is more deadly and spreads faster and easier than the original variant and the other variants of the virus, this is what basically is responsible for the increase in the spread of COVID-19 as we speak in the country, because the variant we are dealing with now spreads easier, like 2 times easier than that of the original, variant. And that is also more difficult to manage because it devastates faster and it's more deadlier. That is the reason why the spread seems to continue. And this we can call the third phase of the, spread of the infection.
Okay, so I want to ask a follow-up. So far, we've had cases of, I think, community spread of the COVID-19 infection, the coronavirus.
Yes.
And to some extent, that was managed. And now, owing to the fact that we've been having COVID-19 vaccinations going on and across the country, as well as with the suspension of the vaccination exercise for reasons best known to the government. Now, as it is, do you think Nigeria is more at a risk? I mean, with the fact that vaccination has been halted, we're having a spike in infection due to the Delta variant of coronavirus, and we still risk having another set of community spread of the virus.
Yes, you are correct. There have been different cumulative efforts. It's not that the government has suspended the vaccination at any time. It's because these vaccines are not produced here, and it takes some level of protocol before you can get the ones that can be used here. As we are, and as we speak, we don't have enough vaccines. We are just sourcing for this vaccine. You know that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that just came in is just a few thousands of doses, whereas we have about at least 120 million people to be vaccinated. That's about 70% of our population. So that's the reason. It's not that the government has suspended it at any point in time.
Okay.
However, people, the society in a way, has relaxed in terms of the non-pharmaceutical measures that we are supposed to strictly follow. I'm talking the issues with face masking, keeping social distancing, and avoiding crowded places, and many other non-pharmaceutical measures that were in enforcement before now. People have relaxed, and we are gradually going back to our normal life. That is one reason why the spread has continued and has increased recently. But much more than that is that the vaccine which was given has not covered sufficiently the population that are more at risk. Even general population, we don't have enough vaccine as we speak. Coupled with the fact that the Delta variant of the virus we are talking about is not as easily conquerable as the original form of it. So those are the efforts, those are the those are the reasons for the relapses that we have had. The type of the virus that we are having spreading now, the fact that people are reneged on their use of non-pharmaceutical measures, and the fact that we don't have enough vaccines. Those are things that have caused the increase in the surge of the spread of the virus as we speak.
Okay, Mr. Sunday, you did mention that the country does not have enough vaccines to go around, and then you did talk about how deadly the Delta variant of the COVID-19 is. So it's easily transmissible, it's hard to contain, hard to treat, and all of that. But the government is saying that we're not looking at another lockdown at this point. Do you think Nigeria needs a second lockdown at this point to help, curb the spread or prevent, the spread of the Delta variant of the COVID-19 virus?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. It's a genuine question. In the science balance, we usually try to weigh benefits and risk of anything and everything before action is taken. As we speak, Nigeria does not really need another round of lockdown. For the economy of this country as we speak is very fragile. And another lockdown, another protracted lockdown is going to cause more harm, even than the harms that the Delta variant of the virus will cause. It's just that we probably have not taken statistics of what happened to us economically when we had the last lockdown. So we cannot afford another lockdown. But what I know and what I believe the country or the government can do is to enforce the non-pharmaceutical measures, is to also double effort in sourcing for more vaccines. When we source for more vaccines and we get more numbers of the population covered from vaccine side, then we try to enforce the non-pharmaceutical measures like the face masking, like keeping social distancing, and by avoiding crowded places and so on and so forth, and keeping general hygiene, like the hand washing hygiene and all that, we are going to be able to beat the Delta variant of the COVID-19 and reduce the spread as much as possible, instead of going through the route of enforcing another lockdown. It's not going to be well with the economy. And when the economy is bad, we are going to be much more susceptible to diseases, even other than the COVID-19. You and I know that where you don't have where you have a fragile economy, there is a propensity for poverty, and poverty breeds diseases. And one of the reasons why you see that you hardly see any of the African countries making giant strides in the production of vaccine is that first and foremost is not because that they don't have the expertise or the human resource that can actually discover vaccines, but they do not have the economic power to finance discovery and the research that goes around the production of vaccine. And as a result, all African countries seem to be helpless because they are economically not viable to venture into such a laudable scientific, adventure. So when you lock down, you're likely going to reduce the economic power of the country as a whole. At the same time, reduce the economic power of individuals domestically. And when this happens, you become more susceptible even to the same COVID-19 you're trying to protect yourself from and other diseases we are talking about. Let me make an analogy with that of cholera that you see that is still coming up little by little. If you take a look at the places where you have more of cholera cases, you will see that they are developing places. Cholera will find it difficult to come up in a developed society, because the route through which cholera is transmitted is fecal oral route, for example. And only those people who live in places where, for example, they don't have a controlled source of drinking water, they don't have a treated source of drinking water as well, they do not dispose their waste the right way, and so on and so forth. And probably they don't even have toilet and all of that. Those are issues of social amenities. And that cannot be found around places that are well developed. So also it cannot be found in countries that are well developed. And to develop a country, you need a very strong economy. So economy is very important, and it's related to how healthy we are. If you are not economically viable, it will be difficult for you to be healthy.
So Dr.
The country cannot risk another round of lockdown. What we need to summarize is to enforce the non-pharmaceutical measures that we are already familiar with, and that source for more vaccines so that we can cover more of the population. And by that, we'll be able to roll back the spread of Delta variants of COVID-19.
Okay. So Dr. Sunday, final one. How can Nigeria cope with the current situation of the spread and the increasing figures we are seeing of infections, with doctors currently on strike? I mean, we understand that the National Association of Resident Doctors have called on all of their members to down their tools and walk away from their workplaces because of issues they've been having with the federal government as well as the Minister of Labour for more than a year now. So how does Nigeria cope with the current situation of a Delta variant on one side and striking doctors on the other?
In 1 minute, please.
Okay. Well, it is an unfortunate, situation that is happening at an unfortunate time. The thing is, we really cannot afford this strike as we speak because of the continuous spread of COVID-19 Delta variant and of cholera and many other diseases of public health concern. So the country and the government should quickly go to a roundtable discussion with the resident doctor, persuade them to go back to work as fast as possible so that other negotiations can continue while they are still at work, because we cannot afford losing our people into the hands of these diseases of public health concern. That is on one side. Individuals will have to take responsibility for their health, the second side to it. And that responsibility is, one, as much as possible, try to avoid crowded places where you can catch the virus. For you to know that if you catch the virus, going to the hospital as we speak of today, that you may not meet doctors that will treat you. Therefore, you have to prevent yourself from getting this particular disease in the first place. And that you will be able to do that by avoiding crowded places, number one. Number two, use your face mask rightly and correctly at all times when you are going into a public place. Number three is that wash your hands properly with soap and water. Learn the 5 stages of proper hand washing and wash at all times. Keep personal hygiene. And at the same time, try to heighten your immunity by rest when needed and good food that can increase your immunity. If you do all of this and you are able to avoid the you catching the infection, you will be doing yourself a lot of good, and you'll be doing others and your household a lot of good by not catching it in the first place. But we know that doctors are on strike as we speak.
Mr. Son, thank you so much for joining us on the conversation this morning. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so we'll have to let you go at this point. But thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. And thank you to our viewers for staying with us on the show today. So that's it for the conversation this week. We'll be back here on Monday. But before that, follow TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And of course, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Also, stream our content. That's the conversation and all the contents we have on www.tostvnetwork.com. My name is Ade Suwasui.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.